Hello and welcome to another episode of the Driven Shot podcast. My name is Peter Muneme, also known as Barca DNA on Twitter, and today we'll be breaking down Barca's Champions League victory away at St. James's Park. Barcelona are off and running, 2-1 victors on the night with two special goals from Marcus Rashford. And so, without further ado, let's get to it. All right, this was a very, very exciting game. Even beforehand, there was lots of talk, mostly around how Barca would handle Newcastle's physicality, especially on set pieces and dealing with crosses coming into the box. So it was quite a surprise when Newcastle opted not to start with their brand new centre forward, but instead decided to go with Gordon up front and tried to really utilize their pace to hurt Barcelona, especially looking to hurt the high line there of Barca. They were trying to spring runners in behind. Anthony Elanga was very, very influential in the opening minutes. They're using his pace and his abilities 1v1 to go against Gerard Martin, who had a tough night dealing with him. But Newcastle began the game very well. They were very aggressive. They pinned Barca back. They were trying to force errors there, trying to win the ball high up the pitch, trying to force mistakes. And Barca really, for the opening 15 minutes, had to weather a massive amount of pressure. And Newcastle they were aggressive. The atmosphere was very, very good. I think the fans really supported Newcastle. It felt like they were playing with 12 men. They were trying to almost will the ball into the back of the net, and they came very close. They did create a few chances there, most notably an early chance where Elanga gets back, makes a really good cutback there for Harvey Barnes. It's a wonderful save there by Joan Garcia. And also, there was a chance where a ball was cut across the face of goal for Anthony Gordon, who missed his kick. And had he connected, it would have been 1-0 for Newcastle. So early on, there were definitely seams of threats from Newcastle. They seemed dangerous. They seemed to be causing Barca a few issues. Barca, in the end, weathered the storm and grew into the game. Rashford had a few moments where he had half chances, couldn't quite connect. Rafinha, half chances, couldn't quite connect. And really, Barca were growing into the game. They weathered the storm. And after around 20 minutes or so, we saw more possession from Barca. We saw a more stable rhythm for Barca. They were able to control the tempo of the game a lot more. Pedri got on the ball. Frenkie De Jong got on the ball. We saw them really look a lot more like themselves, but without being able to create much in the final third. And so really for the first half, it was a lot of, again, Newcastle looking dangerous, looking to press high, looking to force turnovers, and a few moments there in transition where Barcelona looked bright. I have to say, Marcus Rashford, who we will talk about a lot in this video, was very good in the first half. He was dynamic. He was Barca's maybe most dangerous player there in transition. A few moments there where he showed his pace, showed his skill. One moment there in particular where he spun, Trippier got in behind, really good burst of pace, really good run, and just kind of pulled his finish wide. But he looked a player tonight who was so motivated, so hungry, so determined to make something happen, and that's exactly what he would go on to do. Barca ended the first half 0-0. I think what I would say is this: both teams were okay. Barcelona did suffer a lot in the opening 15 to 20 minutes, and Newcastle probably for their part deserved a goal. They were very, very close on a few moments of getting behind and scoring, and if not for Joan Garcia and a bit of fortune, Barca would have probably conceded a goal in the first half. I do have to say this though on Joan Garcia. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And tonight, on set pieces, he was confident, he was brave, he came out, he claimed balls in the air, he punched them away. I mean, he really controlled his box. And that's such a good thing to see from a goalkeeper, especially one who's in his first season, who's around new players, new surroundings, and a new system. And yet he's adjusting so well, playing at such a good level. And I have to say this, Joan Garcia, with every passing game, he grows in stature, he grows in aura, he grows in presence as a Barcelona player, and he makes me feel incredibly safe there watching Barcelona, undergo attack after attack after attack, even in moments when Newcastle broke through the offside trap, got in behind, a ball's played across the face of goal, and in most cases, you're thinking that's going to be a goal. That's going to be 1-0 for the opponent, and yet Joan Garcia covers ground so well, getting across his line to make those big saves. We saw it against Rayo. We saw it today against Newcastle. He truly is a wonderful, wonderful player, and Barca can be so, so happy to have him in their ranks for the next 10 to 20 years, even, given how good he is, even as a goalkeeper. But I have to say this, beyond the first half, I think Barca began the second half well. I think they were much more assured. Newcastle perhaps tired as well as the game went on. Of course, you can't play that sort of intense pressing for 90 minutes. I think Newcastle were hoping that they could unsettle Barca and maybe score a few goals early, but that didn't happen. And once Barca grew into the game and went through halftime, they were much more assured of what they were doing. They looked much more composed. They were able to play through the press of Newcastle as well. And that's actually what led to the opening goal, where a brilliant ball is played in behind from Koundé there for Rafinha. He runs onto it very well, gets past one or two players, cuts it back in the end. Koundé then on his left foot plays a wonderful, wonderful cross into the box. And Marcus Rashford, what a header. This is his first goal as a Barcelona player in an official game, and what a header it was. It was absolutely brilliant because Koundé's cross is wonderful. It's a really good ball into the middle there of the box, but it's right on the penalty area, and Rashford has to be the one who generates all the power on this header, and he really snaps at it well, makes good contact with it. And Marcus Rashford, for as good as he is, he's not someone who's used to scoring headers. I mean, he said it himself in the post-match press conference that he doesn't score headers often, but here, that was a striker's header. A really, really good, again, it's a snap. He connects with it so well. Bottom corner, really good finish. And at that point, Barca in the 58th minute were up 1-0. And 9 minutes later, Rashford scores. We talked about Fermin Lopez scoring one of the goals of the season. Rashford might have scored the goal of the season. I mean, it was that good of a strike where he receives the ball. He, funnily enough, plays a 1-2 off the Newcastle player, gets it back, dribbles to the edge of the box, and he unleashes an absolute cannon. I mean, it's a brilliant shot. It swerves, it goes right up into the top corner. It gives Nick Pope absolutely no chance. And in fact, that goal, it reminded me of his strike against Manchester City a few seasons ago, where edge of the box, he strikes a brilliant ball. It goes in the top corner. It's a wonderful, wonderful finish. And Marcus Rashford, this is why Barca signed him. This is why he was brought into the club on nights like this, a night where Barcelona didn't have Lamine Yamal, didn't have Balde, and yet you need a player to step up. You need a player to rise to the occasion. You need a player to give you extra squad depth, but more so, not just depth, but quality. You need quality in your front line, and that's exactly what Rashford is. That's what he was tonight. Absolutely brilliant. One of the goals of the season, sensational hit on his right foot, in off the crossbar. Just a wonderful, wonderful goal. And at that point, Barca are up by 2 goals. For the most part, they did very well to control the game. Newcastle didn't really have any opportunities to get back in the game. They couldn't really break Barca down. I think Pedri and De Jong were phenomenal in the midfield there, really controlled the tempo of the game, played with such composure, maneuvered well in the back line. Araujo, Kubarsi, they did well. They marshaled Newcastle for the most part, didn't allow too much to get through them in the second half there. Even Jordan Martin as well also got better as the game went on. I think perhaps taking off Ilanga was a mistake by Newcastle because it really did limit them what they could do going forward. But that being said, they did eventually get themselves back into the game there. A late goal from Anthony Gordon towards the 90th minute did give Barca pause and moments for concern as we tried to close out the game. But I have to say this. When Gordon scored, my thought immediately went over to the match against Inter Milan and wondering, okay, Barcelona having a lead are in a very, very delicate moment. It's a tough moment, away from home, big game. How do you see out the match? How do you handle the occasion? And I have to say this, Barca were terrific. They handled the occasion perfectly. They showed that they've learned from last season. We saw a very composed team. They kept the ball well. They weren't trying to rush. They weren't trying to score. They weren't trying to put Newcastle under a lot of pressure. They were simply just keeping the ball. They were maneuvering well between the lines. Pedri was phenomenal at this, by the way. He was taking the ball, doing little deceptive feints here and there, acting as if he was going to go towards goal, just to go back, recycle the ball. And Barca, in the end, did very, very well. They kept possession. They kept control of the game. And even when Newcastle inevitably got the ball back and had chances there via set piece or a long throw, they defended well. They were aggressive. They were calm. They were aggressive in the sense that they were willing to attack the ball, and they were calm in the sense that you didn't see any player diving headfirst into a challenge, lunging into a tackle, making any sort of mistake, or giving the referee any chance to call for a penalty kick. So there was a mixture of aggressiveness in the right manner and also a calm, level head that saw Barca get over the line. So that is Barca's first Champions League game. It is so important early on to get those 3 points, especially away from home at St. James Park. It's a very tough place to go. Remember, a few seasons ago, they beat PSG 4-1 in the Champions League. So they are a good team, a team that is more than capable of getting an upset. And today, Barca showed up. They endured pressure. They endured a hostile atmosphere. They endured the storm. And they came through on the other end with 2 magnificent goals from Marcus Rashford and 3 points, with PSG up next at home in the Champions League. So that'll be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments below. I look forward to seeing you very soon. And until then, take care, stay safe, and Visca Barça!